Today we're going to find out why I had to return my Oculus Go. Let's jump into the review. First off, to set the context for this review, let me say that I've had the Oculus Rift and the Samsung GearVR for over a year. So I stopped using my Oculus Rift because I found it really annoying to be tethered to my PC all the time. And I also found the sight of wires very ugly, even though I made every effort to hide the wires for the external sensors. By the way, check out my video on how I mounted all 3 Oculus Rift sensors without using any tools. The Oculus Rift was an amazing gaming VR headset and I really enjoyed playing with it, but I got bored and I sold it. But now I think I actually regret selling it. Speaking of the Samsung GearVR, I found that experience really frustrating. Every time I wanted to jump into VR, I had to remove my phone's case and I had to change the resolution to the highest resolution. I kept it at medium resolution on my S9 because anything above that really drains the battery. And worst of all, when you start playing video games, the GearVR, the phone inside it, really gets hot and it renders the whole experience extremely slow and unusable. So that was overall a very frustrating experience. I don't recommend using the GearVR. I couldn't wait for the Oculus Quest to come out, so I went out and I bought an Oculus Go, hoping it would satisfy my mobile VR needs. As you find out, this hasn't been the case, unfortunately. One of the main reasons why I bought the Oculus Go was that I was hoping to be able to lie on my bed while I can play some games or watch some movies, but this isn't the case. A lot of apps, if not all the apps, cannot be repositioned vertically so that when you lie flat on a surface, you can just simply have your neck in a neutral position. Most apps sometimes require you to kind of bend your neck, and it really hurts when you have to bend and look at the in front of you, look down, just to see the content. Now, there are some apps that do support vertical alignment, such as the Oculus Home, which kind of isn't really content, it's just navigation, and Skybox, for example, which is a great media player that I recommend downloading for free. At this point, I don't really see much difference between the Oculus Go and my tethered PC VR experience. I might as well have the benefits of a computer if I'm going to be sitting all the time playing, games like poker or something. Having a projector project a video onto the ceiling is a lot more pleasant experience than using the Oculus Go. Overall, this has been a major deal breaker for me, and I have some other complaints that you might want to consider. Now, for the refresh rate, it's supposed to be 60 Hz or 72 Hz for some apps, and I've noticed a very strong flicker in games such as virtual reality. It's a great game, but on white backgrounds I notice it's very flickering, and that really hurts my eyesight. It's kind of nauseating and it's very distracting from the immersion. So compared to 90 Hz on the PC VR, this has been a poor experience with, choppy frame rates in some games, and it hasn't been really well optimized. Coming from the Oculus Rift, which has 6 degrees of freedom, or DOF as they like to say, and coming down to 3 DOF, it has been pretty disappointing. It's hard to switch from 6 DOF to 3 DOF. I imagine this as playing Mario 64 and then going to an experience of like Super Mario on the NES or Super NES. It's very hard to enjoy these games knowing that your PC VR can bring a lot more excitement and immersion with the 6 DOF. So for me, it's been really hard transitioning to only the limitations of 3 DOF. Another thing that really disappointed me was video playback. The Oculus Go is supposed to be the ultimate media consumption device, but I've noticed that it doesn't really handle a lot of files very well. For example, the new HEVC codec, which is also codenamed as H265, does not play at all on the Oculus Go. You have to stick to H264 codecs. So you have to be really careful on what type of video formats you're actually loading onto the device, or whether it be on a local network. So it's been, some high resolution clips have been pretty choppy and very disappointing, because that's one of the main selling points of this device is playing video, and it hasn't done the greatest job with it. Now, although the screen door effect and the resolution has been improved over the Oculus Rift, I still find 360 videos just awful to look at. You can see all the pixels, everything's blurry, nothing is high res, and I guess that's because it takes a lot of computational power to power 5K, 6K, 360 videos. So the Oculus Go, pretty disappointed with how 360 videos work. Now 180 degree videos are pretty good, but it really isn't immersive for me, and I don't see the point in even having 360 degrees video content. And my last minor complaint is the performance. I noticed that when the battery is 100% and I haven't used the device, things run pretty smooth, but over time as the battery drains and the heat sink on the Oculus Go becomes hotter and hotter, I can see some crashes when it's trying to play videos, or it kind of slugs on the frame rate when you play video games. So I do see a degradation in performance over time as you use it, and the battery doesn't last very long. People think 1 hour is 2 hours, but sometimes in VR you can get really caught up, and it kind of sucks when you have to stop what you're doing and charge the device. So performance, although it was good, it's not the most stable at the end. So I know in this review I've been generally pretty negative with the Oculus Go. Coming from the Oculus Rift, I was really hoping to have an amazing social media device where I could lie on my bed, but unfortunately I need to remain seated the whole time. So I don't really see much freedom in the Oculus Go. If the developers from Oculus actually fixed so that any app could be reoriented vertically, I would definitely keep the device, and I would definitely recommend it to other people, because I think lying down is very comfortable. I hate having to be seated all the time. It's kind of very restricting in that sense. Now there's one thing I do like about the device that's an improvement over the Oculus Rift, and that's the ability to use my blue light blocking glasses. And even without using the added spacer, I noticed that they fit pretty well, and they don't really bother me as much when I was using the Oculus Rift. One thing I do recommend is try to not use the spacer that's provided, because that actually, the further you're away from the screen, the lenses, the smaller your field of view gets. So for total immersion, I like to be as close as possible to the lenses to get that full experience. Now in the end, I think for the price and for what you get, I'm actually really impressed. The visuals, the controller, the simple controller performs really well at some certain tasks. And I think that if you're new to VR and you're trying to decide between the Samsung GearVR or the Oculus Go, hands down, definitely go for the Oculus Go. There's no competition there. Simply the performance and convenience boost is enough to justify the purchase of the Oculus Go, even if you have a Samsung phone. In the end, I think I have to wait for the Oculus Quest, or maybe try the Samsung Odyssey Plus. I heard that the Odyssey Plus has some really high resolution graphics and inside-out tracking, which is really cool because I don't have to set up all these sensors and have all these wires dangling, and I really like that convenience. Now with the Quest, I am concerned about the graphics and the performance and the battery life. Even though it does have 6 degrees of freedom, I really do hope it's a great device, and I hope the graphics and the game experience is very similar to the PC experience. Stay tuned, might be able to do a review on both those devices coming up. Anyways, that's it for this review. Please let me know what you think about the Oculus Go. Do you like it? Do you agree with some of the points I made? I think there are a lot of positive reviews out there, and I tried to highlight some of the negatives. I still think it's a great device. If you're on the fence, I'd say go try it out. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button if you like this video, and click subscribe if you want to hear more tech reviews. I'm Jay Syntax. See you in the next video.